If you've been considering starting your personal brand this year, or you've been posting, editing, and experimenting for months, but it still feels like you're guessing what works, we've actually built a content system that generates predictable leads, build trust at scale, and curate a community so loyal that they buy before you even pitch to them. In this video, I'll walk you through the exact blueprint for building the complete content system that your business needs in order to win. What you'll get from this video is you'll have clarity on the direction of your brand, you'll target exactly who your business serves, you'll have a consistent way to create content, you'll streamline your process for higher leverage, you'll multiply your content to gain omnipresence throughout all social media platforms, and build an in-house content team that prints cash. Let's get things started by having clarity on the direction of your brand. This is where you start looking for your North Star. Now, before you start posting, you must know the direction that you are headed, and this is what you'll call your North Star. In order to find your North Star, you must ask the following questions. Now, this is a simple 3-step framework that we've actually built. Where do you want to be in the next 5 to 6 months? Who do you need to be to attract the right people to get to where you want to be in those 5 to 6 months? And lastly, what proof points do you need in order to get there? And this fills in the gap between where you want to be, the trust that you need to build, and the authority that you need to build. So, to give an example, I'll actually show you what this looks like for my own company, which is Azure Media. It's a content agency. Now, for us, where we want to be in the next 5 to 6 months is we want to be at 100K plus month content agency running on autopilot, plus consulting other business owners to refine their taste and build industry leading brands. So this is very clear and objective on what we want to actually achieve within the next 5 to 6 months. Now, this is ideally within the year, but if we're able to do this in 6 months, then that's a bigger thing for us. The reason that you would want to have your North Star is you need to understand why you're building your personal brand in the first place. If you are trying to post without any ideas on where you want to be, the direction you want to go to, then you'll be posting at random. That's what's gonna happen. So this is why this is the first thing that you need to do if you want to build a personal brand that is actually magnetic and you're able to actually get the results that you are looking for. After you have your North Star, you need to understand who do you need to be in order to attract the right people. Now, for us, what we need to be or what we need to embody is we need to become the operator behind multiple big entrepreneurs' brands. People who just hearing their names already evokes authority for us. You know, the moment we say we worked with this guy, we work with this guy, we work with this guy, and people already go to work with them, that is what we're looking for. That is the trust that we are trying to build. The person who builds systems, clarity, and authority, both for creators and founders. Now, what we do is we merge brand strategy with the musical and personal taste to create brands that feel uniquely there. And this is the type of person that we will be embodying throughout the next 5 to 6 months, and chances are much longer than that, because we are trying to, continue this path to scale bigger brands, scale bigger people, and essentially connect the people who are able to actually help in the industry towards the people that need them the most. So that is the person that we are trying to embody when it comes to our personal brand, and as well as the content that we put. In order to become this person, and in order to be known for this personality, what we need to do is to get the proof points to be able to be known for that. And this is where authority comes in. Now, what we need to do in the next 5 to 6 months is we need to transform 5 to 10 clients' brands where they came from 0 to 100. What we'll do is we'll use that within the marketing by doing full before and after breakdowns, client testimonials, client interviews, and everything. And this will build our case study bank for written, video, and of course, the mood boards or aesthetic boards that we've created for them. The unique brand that we were able to build for them and how that essentially ties back to their business. Next, we also need to build our own brand identity. So a lot of content agencies in this space, funnily enough, don't actually have personal brands or content, which is a big blunder. Now, what we're trying to do to differentiate ourselves and of course increase our perceived value is, in order to do that, we need to build our own brand identity. We need to dial in the visual identity, we need to dial in the sound and rhythm identity, which is basically our unique selling point as well. We added the fact that we will be using your unique taste when it comes to music as well as other things to build and curate the brand that is uniquely yours. And alongside that, we need to dial in the aesthetic POV and the personal style, or essentially the perspective and the lenses that we take as a brand. And of course, aside from that, we also need to build our back-end portfolio. Now, aside from the clients that we've changed, we also need to have a library of brand breakdown, brand transformations, aesthetic mood boards and rhythm maps, and essentially a visual identity system for our own brand as well as for other people. This is a systemic way where we're able to actually extract the DNA of people's brands in order for us to replicate or to continue producing the same type of quality in line with what they are looking. Now, these are the 3 questions that you need answered in order for you to know what are the next steps that you you need to achieve. What do I need to get? So for example, we need to make sure that our clients actually get the results. We're able to actually dial in our own branding, our own content. And by having that direction and having that clarity on where you want to be, you're able to actually reverse engineer what you need to do and start executing on that as soon as possible. I do want to give credit where credit is due. When we built this framework, we actually took a lot of inspiration from Caleb Ralston. He is the creative director behind Alex Ramosi, as well as Gary Vee, where he has his, I believe it's called the Brand Journey Framework. And then we took it for ourselves and how we can essentially tweak it in a way that is more in fit with what we are looking for. After you go through this framework, this is where you have your mission. Now that you have your mission for the next 5 to 6 months, the next step is for you to understand who your content must serve. Now that you understand the clarity internally, you must look at who you are trying to target. And this is where you should create a cult. Now, not necessarily create an actual cult, but this is where you start building your die-hard fans. This is where TAM, die-hard, and ICP, and understanding the definitions of each is what will separate you from people who are just trying to post at random and trying to talk to everyone. So I'll give you a very quick definition of the three and how we actually define this and how you're able to look at targeting the specific people that your business would need to start attracting. Now, when it comes to TAM, these are the people who could possibly benefit from what you do. And the purpose of this is to show the full market size that you could serve. Now, for example, a total addressable market could be people in the online business, right? Content agency can actually work with anyone who can benefit from content services online. So the characteristics of the TAM is it's very broad. It shows the full market share. It's not really behavior based. It's just considered a niche, and people are typically not ready to buy and they're not always aligned with your brand. So this is what a total addressable market actually covers. And it's essentially the full population and the full size of the market. Next, we have your ICP. Now, ICP or ideal client profile, these are the people that you can generate the most money, the most results for when it comes to your offer. So if it's a fitness coach, who are the type of people that you work with best? If you're a make money online coach, who do you work with best? Is it 9 to 5? Is it people in college? So and so. Right? And the purpose of this is this defines your best fit paying customer. And the characteristics that they have is that they have a problem that you are able to solve very efficiently. They also have the willingness and ability to pay for the services that charge. Typically, these people should have urgency to buy right now. They're already trying to grow and they execute when they are guided. So if you're a coach or consultant, you ideally want someone, or even an agency, you want someone who's actually willing to put in the work in order for your service to actually take full effect. And this is what your ICP should be dialing in. Right now, once you have a good understanding of the niche that you're in, which is your TAM, and the ICP, the subset of that niche that you want to target, you should not be creating content solely for your ICP. And that was a big mistake that we did in the past. We strictly made content for our ICP, which was not able to allow us to grow exponentially or bigger than where we are right now. If we were to start targeting what I'm about to show you next, we would have gotten better growth in terms of our content and our personal brand if we started targeting our die-hard fan, or people who resonate with you the most. The person who becomes obsessed with your content and grows with your brand long term. These are the people who you would consider your die-hard fan. The purpose of this is this will define your brand direction, the message tone, the aesthetic, and the content style. And the characteristics of these people is that they resonate deeply with your vibe, they love how you think, they aspire to your taste and your identity, they see you as the person who finally gets them, and they will buy multiple offers over multiple years, and they typically become a vocal advocate of your work. When it comes to your diehard fans, or people who genuinely connect and resonate with your content, this doesn't mean that these are people who are instantly ready to buy from you. By targeting a specific subset of your diehard fans, you're able to actually connect and work with people who you genuinely align with. And this is where a lot of people actually miss out. If you're only posting value content, right? Value. You're targeting your ICP. What happens is the subset of people who are willing to buy right now and is well in line with the services that you provide is much smaller than your diehard fan. Now, people who genuinely resonate with your message, whether or not they would need or like your service, these are people who like your aesthetic, your vibe, your personality. And why we need to start tapping into this market is because it is a much larger subset, as I mentioned earlier. But the biggest differentiator is actually the fact that these people are much easier to work with than compared to people who are just looking for value. If you have someone who genuinely aligns with your personality, it's actually easier to work with them, believe it or not. And that's why being able to hone in on your diehard fans is how you're able to build a business that works for you, right? And in order to find this person, you need to start mapping out your brand value. And you can do this by writing down what you stand for and what you don't stand for. For example, some people don't like AI, some people like AI. Some people prefer doing things solo, some people prefer outsourcing things. So what exactly are your brand values? Where do you stand when it comes to certain questions within your niche? And how are you able to differentiate yourself from the sea of coaches, consultants, or agencies? By dialing in your values and what you stand for, as well as the aesthetic and of course your personality, you're able to actually have a brand that is one of one. So to give you guys an analogy, one thing is how people actually have different music tastes. So for example, you could say that classical music is mathematically the best music in the world. Okay, that's an argument you can give. And then there's people who like jazz, which is the exact opposite of classical music, right? Instead of sticking to the score of the music sheet, you're allowed to free flow and actually work around the notes to create your own style. And some people prefer classical, some people prefer jazz, some people prefer rock, some people prefer indie, some people prefer pop. And if you pick your own niche and your own subset, and by showing your own personality and vibe, if we can define that, then that is how you're able to actually attract the right people and of course repel the people that do not align with you, people that do not align with your own value. Chances are, if you think right now of the people that you hold within your niche to high regard, people you have authority for, but you don't necessarily plan to buy from them. And that is because you are not exactly aligned with these people. Right now I can think of like 3 people who are genuine authorities within the space, who know what they're talking about when it comes to social media growth, but I'm not going to buy from them. And the reason so is because I don't really align with their own personality and how they do things. I'd rather go for the guy who, as long as their values actually align with me, and I genuinely think that they are people I can sit down, have a drink with and have a good time scaling my business with, then I'd prefer that over someone who is just there for business's sake. And that might just be my own thing. But understanding that people will resonate with you and your message if you show your personality more is a big thing, right? You should not shy away your personality when it comes to your content. It's not just about the value. Especially when it comes to AI, value is becoming a commodity. People can now search for things when it comes to something that they want to figure out. So that is where you can actually differentiate yourself when it comes to the market. Now, as you can see here in this diagram, we can see that the die-hard fans are actually taking up a much larger space when it comes to the total addressable market compared to the ICP. And this is why your top of funnel should start targeting your die-hard fans instead of your ICP. But when it comes to your middle of funnel and your bottom funnel, that is when you start filtering out your fans and who would genuinely need your service by showing the authority. Once again, this is a good combination of building trust at scale, but using authority in order to convert these people. Now, once you have a good understanding of your niche and your ICP, as well as the values that you represent to attract your diehard fans, you then map out your own content structure. Now, this is a very quick explanation. But of course, if you want my personal guidance to build your own personal brand using the systems within this video, be sure to click the first link in the description below. Back to the video. Now, content structure. When we talk about content structure, this goes about the pillars, the formats, and the length. This is what you talk about, this is how you package what you talk about, and this is how you see it or your unique perspective. If you don't understand all 3, your content has no backbone. It has no foundation for it to actually stand on. And this is why understanding the structure of your content is key to be able to build a personal brand that actually scales. Now, to give you guys examples of what pillars, formats, and lenses would look like, pillars would be behind the scenes, value breakdowns, personal beliefs, creator breakdown. For formats, these are talking heads, voiceovers, whiteboard, or something like a slideshow like this, and a creative shot list. Lenses, these are how you actually view or show, these different formats and pillars, and what lens you're going to show that through. May that be storytelling, may that be showing a problem and then the solution to that problem, giving an anecdote in order for people to compare it to another scenario, or like to another thing that is more relatable and easy to actually understand. And of course, contrasting something from doing this to doing this, and essentially being able to show the differences of 2 different paths. Now, these are different lenses that you can use, and you can use different formats to show those lenses, and the pillars is what you will be generally talking about when it comes to your own. Now, most creators fail because they post whatever comes to mind. Now, understanding pillars, formats, and lenses actually gives you the structure in order for your content to target your TAM, your own niche essentially, your diehard fans, as well as your ICP. If you don't have the pillars, you will become inconsistent. You will be talking about things that aren't within your niche, and that is what will happen if you don't have pillars. If you don't have formats, you'll end up becoming forgettable, right? There's not a consistent way for you to actually package that content, so they're not able to actually tie that to you. And without lenses, you sound like everyone else. You're essentially just a ChatGPT rapper, but for content, right? So lenses is the unique way that you look at things, and the unique belief and perspectives that you have, and how you're going to incorporate that within your content. In order to have a good brand, you require all 3 to actually work together. And once you have your own pillars, your formats, and your lenses, this is where you start building your own signature style. out. Your goal with understanding content structure is to find a combination of the three that will become your signature style. To give an example, we have Daniel Dalen, as everyone knows, he has a POV vlog, right? Anyone who uses that specific thumbnail, who does a vlog in a specific style that Daniel Dalen does, they know that they took inspiration from him. For example, Alex Hermosi has the signature style of the sit-down talking heads, where he has this big-ass canvas paper and he just has a few markers and he breaks down unique or very specific business topics and breaks it down in a very simple way. And these are signature styles that you tie back to these brands because they have done it over and over and over again. Now, if you're not able to have a signature style, once again, you will become forgettable. You will become inconsistent, and what ends up happening is you just look and sound like everyone else. And this is why you should have your content structure dialed in as well. So this is when you start differentiating yourself by using the information and the clarity that you built by understanding your North Star, your ICP, your own diehard fans. Now, after finding your signature styles, having an organized way to repeatedly produce the same quality or better at faster speeds is key to stay in the game for much longer, and as well as outrunning your own competition. So this is where you start SOPmaxxing. If you don't know what an SOP is, it is a standard operating procedure, and this allows your processes to be scalable, predictable, and efficient. Now remember, during the worst, you step down to the level of your system. During the time when you have too many clients that you need to fulfill for, life gets in the way, there are extracurricular things outside of business that you need to attend to, your systems is what will essentially keep the baseline of your business. If you have no systems, if you have no standard way to do things to actually speed up the process, you'll end up caving in inside your own business. You'll feel like the world is collapsing and that your business is going to shut down the next day. And that's what happens if you don't have the right systems in place. Now, I'll be giving you guys 3 ways that you can streamline your process today. Now, this isn't all of our SOPs. If we go over that right now, this video will go on a bit too long, so I can make a separate video on that. But what this is these are the easiest things or easiest SOPs that you can apply today, as well as getting the most ROI from if you implement this right now. So this is the minimum viable post, or the MVP, the signature style guides, and the content vault. So the minimum viable post, this ensures that there is consistent posting even when no new footage is available. By having predefined content types that educate, inspire, and entertain without requiring fresh recordings, you're able to actually post each and every day on your content calendar. And why this matters is this protects your consistency, this prevents any content gaps within your calendar, this removes panic posting. It also ensures that the brand stays active and valuable regardless of when life gets in the way and you're not able to actually film new content. Now, as you can see here, within the picture that you can see on the side, minimum viable post, this can be in the form of just doing B-roll that you filmed in the past, B-roll that you can film right now, just having simple caption. That already in and of itself is a valuable post depending on what you actually caption that post on or what value you post there. Having a way for you to consistently just pull this as a trump card, as something that you can post when shit hits the fan and you're not able to actually record new content, able to stay consistently, provide value for your ICP, for your TAM, and for the people who follow you, as well as keeping the brand quality up in the air. Instead of you rushing to film and record a video so that you can post it on Instagram the next day, this is a way where you're able to keep your peace of mind as well as keep the actual quality of the post that you make. Next, once you have your MVP or your minimum viable post, depending on your niche, next is the signature styles guide. Now, this is what you're able to do once you have your signature style from the content structure. Once you have that signature style, you need to create a guide that your entire team is able to use or you yourself can look back on when you need to create a video. By creating distinct, recognizable content styles with a consistent look, pacing, structure, music, and visual identity, the brand actually feels unified across all platforms and as well as the editors that you eventually onboard. Even if you don't have an editor right now, creating this allows you to scale later down the road and no longer have to think whether or not the editor is actually able to keep up the quality that you post. A lot of people say, I don't want to hire editors because they can't edit the way I do. And that is an arrogant way of thinking because these editors, this is what they do all day, every day, right? And for you to say that these people aren't able to actually edit within the style that you want, chances are you're paying these editors way too low. So the skill of these editors aren't really the best, or you're not able to give them the exact instructions and direction that they would need in order to get the style that you want. In order to avoid that, this SOP is what you need. This turns your content into an identifiable brand asset and it ensures every editor, operator, and strategist is aligned. And it makes scaling easy because new team members can actually replicate the exact taste profile of the brand through this guide. And this is why this SOP is so important, especially for us as a content agency, because this is what allows us us to create content at scale without compromising the actual quality of the video. And next we have the content vault. Now this is a very simple thing, but a lot of people don't actually use this or don't do this. What you do is you build a long-term library of reusable footage and assets to maximize every piece of recorded content. Make sure that you prevent single-use waste when it comes to the videos that you record. Right? And why this matters, this actually allows you to convert one recording session into weeks, maybe months worth of content, and it increases the leverage, it reduces the filming needs, and also enables continuous content even during low production season. And this is where the minimum viable post actually comes into. If you don't have a content vault for people to actually make the minimum viable post from in order to create the signature style guide, then all of this is for nothing. This is something that you need to do right now. Chances are your folders are a mess, right? And it's going to take roughly 30 minutes to an hour to actually sift through all of that content and create a vault that you can consistently use. But it is absolutely worth it. Trust me, once you have all of your content laid out, you know, your content calendar as well as the content that you have recorded, it is so much more easier for you to actually start producing the content that you need. So do this right now if you don't have it already. Now, once you have your SOPs dialed in, you need to maximize the value that you get from one piece of media. This allows higher leverage with having one input and multiple outputs. And this is where your SOPs are actually able to maximize itself through the next step. And this is what we call the echo frameworks. Now, these are 3 different frameworks for you to actually repurpose or reuse some of the content that you've recorded or made before. And this is the waterfall, the big bang, or the reforge. Waterfall, this is where you start with one big pillar piece of content, typically long form. And what you do is you repurpose that video and cascade it into all other platforms. The most common form of this is YouTube videos or podcasts. This is where you make one flagship piece, convert it into multiple smaller pieces like Instagram Shorts or Reels, as well as TikToks, and then you publish it across all platforms with minimal change, making sure that that video is actually able to get as much reach as possible and as much views as possible. So to give an example, you start off with YouTube long form, you cut that into short form on Instagram and TikTok, and then turn that into a newsletter or a Substack breakdown if you have one. And then you can turn that into a LinkedIn post as well as a carousel on Instagram, and then you can even rewrite that into X or Twitter. Now, depending on where you are right now, you can honestly just have one social media manager be able to do all of this for you once you have your YouTube dialed in. So that's an easy way for you to focus on YouTube and then make sure that you're still present on all platforms if that is something you're interested in. This is considered the most common way of repurposing your content. Some people call it content mining. I believe Caleb Ralston does that. And yeah, this is essentially the easiest way for you to repurpose content. But what I want to show you are 2 different ways for you to actually start reusing the content or making sure that you're getting the most out of the content that you've made. And next, we have the big bang. This is where you produce a lot of small, simple pieces, right? Something you can do 5, max 30 minutes and then just ship it away. And then you measure the performance, right? And after you measure the performance of all of the videos that you've posted, you scale the winners or the ones that actually are outliers when it comes to the performance of the content into your actual main content pillars. Now, how this works is you create tons of low-cost experiments, something like selfie videos. You publish it fast, something like daily posting to twice a day on a simple platform that can do testing, so something like TikTok or trial reels on Instagram, and then you analyze what actually pops out as an outlier. From there, you upgrade the best performing pieces into high quality production, into the full thing. And what you can do is, these are some examples of how to implement the big bang. Now, for Alex Hormozi, what he does is he writes 20 to 30 tweets. The best 3 to 4 pieces actually become carousels, scripts, YouTube titles, or long form segments. And this is done in a way where Alex Hormozi's input is only a few tweets, something that he himself has built the skill for. Now, what happens here is Alex Hormozi is in his zone of genius, which is Twitter or X, right? This is a written platform where he just starts posting and posting and posting his thoughts and his own ideas, and whichever tweets actually become outliers, that is what his entire content team then uses to create the rest of the content for different platforms. This is where you can take your phone, you can just record a few selfie videos, and then you can post that on TikTok if that's something that you consider a testing platform, or Instagram Reels, Instagram trial Reels specifically. And once you have the outliers from these videos, you will actually produce that into the full, signature style quality for your brand. And lastly, we have the reforge. This is something that a lot of people don't do, that is significantly underestimated, right? You take one core idea or piece of content, and then you remake it in multiple different formats as fully reimagined variation. Now, how it works is you start with one core idea or video, then you repackage it using new hooks, new edits, new story lenses, or new aesthetic, and an alternative structure in order to reforge the idea. Now, for you guys to better understand understand what this means, let's go to the example. The example is how to start a personal brand. Now, there's 3 ways to reforge this. Now, the example idea we have here is how to start a personal brand. Now, there are 3 ways to reforge this. It's 1 step away, 1 step forward, or 1 step to the side. Now, how this works is 1 step away. For example, how to start a personal brand. You're gonna do this for people who are a bit in the earlier stages of this specific idea. And in order to do that, how to start a personal brand from scratch. Another way is 1 step forward, how to grow your Instagram, which is a bit more niche specific, from 0 to 10K followers. That's a step forward. You're diving deeper into your ICP or your specific subset of people that you want to serve. Then 1 step to the side is an adjacent way that you're able to share this idea from. So how to start a personal brand using AI, right? The AI tools that you use in order to build up a personal brand. So these are a few ways that you can reforge one idea in 3 ways. And this is for something like YouTube. For something like Instagram, what you would do is you would have one video and you would use it multiple times in different ways. An example that I plan to actually implement this is a day in the life vlog of just B-roll going over my day. And for us to use that in multiple posts, we're gonna have one where it's just music and a caption, one where it's just the raw audio from the recordings, and that's something that we can use as a trial reel just to see how it goes. And another way, and the one that will be flagship, is me doing a voiceover of a specific insight either during that day or throughout building my business. And that's how I'm able to provide value while still entertaining my people, and I have one idea and I have 3 times the output. And this is how you're able to actually reforge one specific idea or video and do it in multiple ways and see which one is actually going to perform the best. And this is a good way for you to actually iterate, experiment, and test which one is actually going to perform the best out of everything. So depending on the stage that you are at, you can use either all 3, one of the 3, or just 2 of the different echo frameworks. And the reason we call it echo framework, you say it once and then it echoes multiple times. So this is a good way for you to maximize the content that you are recording and that you're able to post. Now, after maximizing your video assets and ideas, you need a team that could handle everything when it comes to the content creation process. And that is what we call the big 3. So the big 3 is the operator, the strategist, and the architect. These 3 serve different purposes, but without one or the other, you're not going to be able to actually run a full system that can go without you. Now, typically when you're starting out, you will be all 3 of these, right? You're going to be the operator, you're going to be the strategist, you're going to be the architect. During the time that you are starting out, you want to find a specific lane that you resonate with or that you have an affinity towards. Essentially something that you like doing or that you're good at doing. And the reason for this is because later down the road, once you start hiring, you're going to hire your weakest position or the one that you don't like doing. And that is a way where you're able to actually scale your business sustainably. You know, you don't need to shell out a lot of cash, but you're able to also build up a skill that you can consistently use within either your clients or within your own service. And that zone of genius is what you will be using within your content as well. You are to leverage that specific skill that you are good at. May that be managing a team, may that be strategizing, or may that be becoming the architect or the system manager when it comes to your own specific media team inside of your business. Now, the operator, this is the person that owns the day-to-day operations. This keeps the content engine actually moving, right? And their core responsibilities are managing the editors, managing the designers, making sure that the production is actually up to par, handle the communications, the deadlines, and the delivery cycles, enforce the accountability when it comes to uploads, reels, schedules, everything like that. And they maintain the production line organized and on time, right? They are the people who work with your team as much as possible, and they make sure that they are fulfilling the tasks that need to be done throughout the day, throughout the week, and throughout the month. And this is what we call the operator. Next, we have the strategist. This is the person that handles the thinking, the positioning, and the content decisions that actually move the brand forward. What they do is they set the content direction as well as the brand narrative, right? And this is the person that actually analyzes the data from the content that you post. What they do is they craft the angles, the hooks, the titles, the scripts, the messaging. They actually look at the data and they see what is the next best move for the brand. From there, also ensure that the content ties back to the business goals. So even if you guys are going viral, even if you guys are able to get a lot of views, are you able to convert those, those views into actual cash? And then they also guide the brand voice, the tone, and the aesthetic, making sure that everything is in line when it comes to your content and your personal brand. And lastly, we have the architect. This is the person who builds the automations, the frameworks, the workflows, the SOPs that make the operator as well as the strategist 10 times more effective, as well as the people under them. So their core responsibilities is they design the SOPs, templates, pipelines, and the dashboards. They also help with creating the automation tools like N8N, Notion, or Airtable. They standardize the scripting, the editing, the research, and the feedback loops, as well as reducing the human error and inefficiency. And what this does is they're the person that actually allows your content to scale exponentially. Once you have the systems and the automation styled in, you are able to pump out 10 times more content because you're able to put one in and get 10 times out. And this is why the architect is actually very important if you don't have one and you're in a position that you're able to scale a brand. So if you're at 10 or 20K per month, investing into an architect, if you already have an operator and strategist, is a big bump for your business. Once you have all three of these people in-house and you have the content and media team actually running on autopilot because all of the systems are dialed in, all of the people know what to do, your system actually sees the exact steps that you would need to do and allows you to get the information that you would need in order to create the next steps to scale, you are in a position to blow up your personal brand and outrun your competition. But the big caveat here is in order to build an in-house team that could provide high quality content, you should expect to shell out multiple 4 to 5 figures per month to acquire the good talent. If you try to cheap out on your business and you try to cheap out on the talent that you try to hire in, you will actually miss out much more than compared to just hiring the people that can genuinely scale you up to the next stage or the next bracket. And that is why being able to have that mental capacity to be prepared to actually shell out the money that you would need in order to scale is a limiting belief that you need to overcome. If you try to cheap out, once again, I need to put emphasis, if you try to cheap out on your business, it will cheap out on you. If you're looking to build an in-house team, make sure that you actually have the capacity to do so and you're able to sustain the talent that you acquire. Now, that is also without considering other needed hires outside of the big three, something like editors, copywriters, and social media managers. That's also doesn't account the time to hire, train, delegate, and retain the talent that you get for all of these sectors. That also does not account the costs on software and equipment that the business would need. Doesn't take account accounting and payroll for everyone that you hire. And of course, fulfilling for clients that you onboard through marketing. Because if you scale your personal brand, it blows up, you need to be able to actually fulfill for the people that you bring in, or else the business will not be sustainable. Given all of that, you have three options, right? You either do nothing for the next 3 months, and waste the time you spent watching this video. That was a waste of 30 minutes of your time. I don't know, that wasn't really a good idea. Or you walk away and apply the information today, trying to figure out on how to execute things on your own and get the results months or years down the road during one of the most time-sensitive gold rushes for attention, right? The gap for building a personal brand is getting narrower and narrower and getting shorter and shorter. Or lastly, what you can do is you personally work with me along with the team of trained professionals to scale your personal brand within the next 2 quarters without having to deal with the burnout or stress of content. But of course, the choice is inevitably yours to make, right? I'm not here to force you to make a decision. I've actually given you everything that you would need in order to scale your brand. Now, for the few people that genuinely want to speed run the process and actually skyrocket their personal brand and want a team of professionals and want someone that they can work with in order to scale a brand that is one of one, is magnetic, and is uniquely theirs, then that might be you. If that is you, then be sure to book a call down below. It's the first link in the description, and we'll see if we are a good fit. From there, I'd love to actually see how we can work things out. But that's it for this video. If you're looking to actually build your own system as well, outside of this, outside of the foundation and actual day-to-day process of planning, ideating, scripting, editing, filming, tracking, and everything, I actually have another video of that right here. You can go ahead and watch this video and you can take it for yourself and build your own content from there. Aside from that, see you guys on the next one.